The interwar period was not only a time of patriotic marches and meetings of people from the world of politics, it was also a time of great enthusiasm, parties and dance, especially during the carnival. After 123 years of captivity, it was time to celebrate.
Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. In today's episode, we will discover the most fascinating stories about the interwar period in Poland. Stay with us. Hello, Artur. Thank you for joining us again. I would like to ask you, where did people socialize during the interwar period? What were they doing? What were their activities? What were they eating? Could you tell us something about those things?
Hello, Paula. Warsawians, Polish people, were spending time outside. They were enjoying their time next to our royal route that we were talking about today, Ujazdowskie Avenue. There were benches one next to each other, very wide pavements and trees right next to the street. And people were sitting just one next to each other. So you would consider, when you take a look at the photo, they were packed. There was not much space over there, but actually, on the contrary, totally opposite. There was so much space over there that so many people were attending this place just to hang out, just to spend time next to the Royal Łazienki Garden, next to just constructed in 1926 Frederick Chopin Monument, just as they were spending time next to just constructed in 1925 the tomb of unknown soldier in the Saxon Garden. And this area was so-called Warsawian Polish Champs-Élysées. There were many connections, Paris and Warsaw. Many people were emigrating once upon a time from France to Poland and from Poland to France. That's why we were calling that place Warsawian Champs-Élysées. So many people walking around over there, actually with a hairstyle more or less like yours today.
And do you think the Europejski Hotel played an important role in the social life in Warsaw? Was it a place where people were meeting a lot?
Well, of course, the famous hotel constructed before World War II was a place where many people were socializing, and it's not only because of its famous history starting in the 19th century. Also, very good cuisine over there available for locals, available over there till nowadays. Europejski Hotel was just modernized so that people all over the world can enjoy an amazing, sophisticated time right over there in this place nowadays. Europejski Hotel, Saxon Garden, area of Marshal Józef Piłsudski Square, and the Royal Route areas and the Old Town. That was the areas where people were socializing, and if you could see these people, how they were dressing up, how they were spending time, that was the modern world that people were talking about in these days. That was the cosmopolitan world that people wanted to reach, and that was the world that was about to end soon.
And you mentioned the Polish cuisine. Could you tell us something about what were people eating in those times? What was the traditional dish or dishes?
So these were my days, if I may be honest, because the food was supposed to be simple and thick. So it's not like in these nowadays diets we read about all of these ingredients to check out what's good, what's bad. For me, it was supposed to be tasty. It could be doughy, like Polish dumplings, Polish pierogi. The dough is made of wheat, very available, thanks to very fertile Polish fields, Polish soils. And inside such dumpling, you can still get cabbage with mushrooms, meat, or cheese, or maybe camembert cheese, or
cheese and potatoes.
Or cheese and potatoes. Exactly. That makes two of us exactly, because cheese and potatoes was created in a land of Poland, like the district of Poland called Rus. Just as nowadays we are having Belarus and different kinds of Rus, the name Rus comes from Vikings language, which means river. As far as this area was explored by Vikings thanks to the rivers, then we are having Russia out of it. And in one of the lands, one of the states, such kind of dumplings were invented once upon a time, so they were still very popular. Pork chop. So let's make a sort of Vienna schnitzel. Let's make it very big and very thin. Potatoes, very popular, and everything that you could grow on your own, like cabbage, like carrots.
Various editorial offices of famous magazines, institutions, and people of culture moved from other parts of the country to Warsaw. Speaking of the cuisine of the interwar period, just like today, restaurants were divided into simple, unsophisticated ones for a less affluent client, and also into very elegant, exclusive ones for guests who were able to spend more money.
Still, we must remember that in between World War I and World War II, 70% of Polish society were living outside the big cities. So we are having more of farmer society, Poland, and at that period of time. So what was most popular among farmers? Well, not very much cows. Cows were supposed to reproduce and give milk. How about pork? Well, it was quite popular, but the most popular were chickens. But even when it comes to chickens, it would be much more profitable for you to sell one instead of eating it. And that's why vegetables and things that you can grow on your own were most popular, especially potatoes, still in that period of time.
And now going back to the activities again, I was thinking, was bridge a famous thing? Because I remember my grandmother telling me stories of how she was playing bridge with her grandfather in those times. Did people really do it a lot?
Paula, so it seems that your forefathers were following most fashionable ideas and things to do in Europe in that period of time. Invented few centuries before, a game called Twist evolved within the time. In 1926, the rules were changed because of a majestic gentleman called Harold
Vanderbilt.
Yes, exactly, this guy. He was the one who modernized the idea of playing the twist.
Yes.
And this is how it became bridge, which doesn't mean the bridge in English as we know it. It's a translation probably from Russian, maybe from Turkish, a combination of words. But it became a very popular gentleman's game of that period of time. And very quickly it affected Poland and Warsaw too.
So I guess we have to learn it now.
Well, I guess that there are so many games at the moment available that going back to the roots would be a good idea.
True. And what was maybe one person you could describe and mention who was the iconic person of those times, the most famous? Who would come to your mind at first?
Well, Michael Jordan was not born yet, so let me think. Well, I think we'll go back, we'll switch the topic into literature again, because we are having our Nobel Prize winner of that period of time, yes. Władysław Reymont, in 1924 got a Nobel Prize because of a masterpiece that he wrote before we regained our independence. It was The Peasants. And such books were also a reason why we got back the independence eventually. When it comes to his masterpiece of that period of time, what he wrote after the big war, after World War I, it was a book called The Revolt. And this is how he described Bolshevik revolution. So he made a comparison to a farm. And this is when animals made a revolt against the owner, so to set new equality. And very quickly it turned out that this new equality is just another abuse and terror. And it's a quite familiar book, we can say, because George Orwell
Wrote a similar one, yes.
Animal Farm, that was printed in 1945, and till nowadays we don't know if he knew about the book of Władysław Reymont.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he didn't know. Thank you for joining us today on Poland Daily Culture, and see you tomorrow.